we probably want to really be mindful of how we're looking at human traffic victims and sex traffic victims. And I should be mindful too not to call them victims, right? Because as a
survivors.
person who thinks about a recovery model and empowerment model, it's all about how they see themselves. And she could see herself as a survivor because she did survive, and she lost her life in a way that I think is important for us to talk about too. When they are survivors, we have to be mindful and be aware of this mental health piece. There's two websites that I want to mention on here just for reference's sake. There's the Office for Victims of Crime, and then there's the Polaris Project, and they go through and talk about the mental health needs of those who have been human trafficked and sex trafficked, and it goes back to that poly-victimization, that complex trauma. And I'm not using all these big words, but just to break it down into something simple, it's basically abuse on top of abuse on top of abuse. Right. And so that's where you get that dual diagnosis, and that's the reason why I'm on here, because we often think about how we respond to people who have substance abuse issues, who have addiction, and you don't know their story. And then when people say that, it's minimized. Like, really, you don't know people's story.
You don't.
And for Hannah to lose her life from an overdose, that just tells you how it was just constantly lingering. And we know clinically that, substance abuse has a lot to do with trying to escape, trying to manage emotions, feeling overwhelmed. But I don't think the larger community understands what that's about.
No.
And so, that dynamic of just really understanding that those survivors will continue to fight every day. And what that looks like from a mental health perspective is complex. And it does take it's a specialized type of approach. And, you doing that work is amazing. Alicia, it's amazing, but it's really important for us to understand, because I imagine, this is coming across the ears of some people who don't understand what it means to have survived. They see the person, they're trying to understand, and it's hard to wrap your brain around the complexity of that type of trauma, and grateful for the person to be home, but still noticing that, things just ain't never been the same. Or we're talking, the person who has survived is sitting at home trying to figure out why I just can't snap back to my old life, why I just can't be my old self, that kind of language. I'm just, I want them to hear that it's not that simple. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Families, be kind to that person. Because this is a lot. It's heavy. It's real heavy.
Yes. So the Office of Victims and Crimes, I was looking up that website just to put it in for everybody. You said www.ovc.gov. What was the other resource?
Polaris Project. And specifically, while you put that in, I appreciate how they put Office for Victims of Crime. Now, again, we just talked about that word of victim. But the part that I like the most is the survivors. These people, something has happened to them. Because I remember you talking earlier, like, people choose this or people choose that.
No.
Regardless if I ran away, regardless if I decided to whatever. Like, somebody took me. And made me do things I didn't want to do. I could have been shooting up the night before. If somebody stole me and shot me, made me take drugs just the next night afterwards. That was still not my decision. They perpetrated a crime against me and my body. So talking about black bodies, and especially about black women, right? We know domestic violence in the black community is a thing. But here, this is an even more complex dynamic. So this is black women. Media don't necessarily give us that much attention.
Nope, not a bit.
And so we get to, fall by the wayside and just flicker away. But there are families out there that want to know where their daughter is, where their sister is, where their cousin is, where their niece is. They finally get them back, and then they still don't know what to do. Like, I asked for them back, but who did I get? Like, I don't know.
And this is not the same person. This is not the daughter that I had. Yes. Very, very, very important points. Thank you so much. What was the other resource that you had? Someone
Polaris Project.
You said Polaris Project.
Polaris. Like polar bear, but Polaris.
Polaris Project. Okay, gotcha. Okay, so we'll do the Polaris Project as well. I'll go ahead and make sure that I'm putting both of these in here. And I want to really thank you today. I want to really thank you for coming on today and bringing that clinical perspective that we need to this conversation. The Polaris Project is about National Human Trafficking Hotline, and I'm going to make sure that we put that in here as well, okay? So I really, really, really appreciate you coming on today. I really appreciate you having this robust conversation with us that is needed and that we could talk about all day long, honestly, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Right, because this is something that is really, really needed and that is rampant in the Black community, in all communities. It doesn't even matter Black, white, or the other, but this type of thing needs to be talked about. It needs to have attention drawn to it. It needs to be hyper vigilant and have folks really pay attention to this. So I really, really appreciate your expertise. And can you tell folks or give your shout out, I think, to your own business and just tell folks where to find you?
The other thing I'm really passionate about is parenting. So I have shout out to ParentsZoneLLC.com. Connecting with this aspect of, I want the community to consider, for those survivors who make it back, who have families or maybe ended up having a child while, taken, what that looks like, how to support them, how to navigate that process of managing, psychological and emotional issues and concerns while being a parent. That's what Parent Zone LLC provides. So that's parents. ZoneLLC.com. You can get some support there, as well as, again, www.drdarleneanddavis.com. Open for business, open for service, open for support. Clinically trained, as well as very, very skilled and very engaged in ensuring that, that you have a culturally competent professional working with you. Because there is a unique experience that goes along with being Black. So I don't have to tell you guys that. You already know that. And as clinicians, which we know that a lot of these aspects of mental health are still working and needing to make space for that experience.
Yeah, and not
as a clinician, as well as a parenting coach, I really infuse that into the type of care that I provide.
Yes.
Thank you for this time. I really appreciate it. As you can't tell by my voice, I get very passionate about my community, as well as, the mental health needs of my community. So I thank you for this time.
No problem. And I really, really, you are invited back any time you want to. We love your expertise, and I probably will be calling on you in the future as well. I really, really appreciate it. So you can find Dr. Darlene M. Davis at www.drdarlenemdavis.com. You can find her, you said Parent Zone is, what is that again? Parent Zone?
Parent Zone LLC.com.
Okay. All right, ParentZoneLLC.com. I'll make sure that I put that in the comments on the Facebook Live post as well, to make sure that as you all are a sponsor for today's show as well. So I really, really appreciate you, and shout out to Parent Zone. And I know that we're going to have you all on for another type of conversation a little later. But really, thank you for coming on and having that conversation with us. It is much needed in our community.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Darlene. Okay, so you guys, one more shout out to our sponsors, okay? One more shout out to our sponsors. We're going to go ahead and shout out Dope Designs by Nanny. You can find her at www.dopedesignsbynanny.com. She has a 50% off sale, and all you have to do is put 25 flash. Let me make sure. You can put 24 flash. I knew I was wrong. 24 flash, and you can head on over to www.dopedesignsbynanny.com to go ahead and do that. You can also, it is brought to you by Parent Zone. We're going to go ahead and throw Parent Zone in there as well. ParentZoneLLC.com. That is Dr. Darlene M. Davis's business that she was just telling us about. And then also, and last but not least, it's brought to you by Begin to Talk LLC. We are here for your mental health counseling, your personal life coaching, and business consulting needs. So I really believe, and we really believe, by having difficult conversations in our community, that everything having these difficult conversations in our community are very, very important. So I really thank you all for tuning in today and beginning to talk with us, okay? See y'all next week.